Hey, Rolling 20 fans, this is G, and I'm here to tell you today about a new sponsor for our show, Casey's Irish Pub. This is an honest-to-God Boston or Chicago-style Irish pub located in downtown Los Angeles. They serve cooked food, 11 kinds of beer, and 49 different Irish whiskeys from 3 different distilleries. What does that mean? That means if you're looking for a good drink during a Los Angeles convention, you don't have to go far. If you're headed to Los Angeles for E3, Kamikaze, Anime Expo, the Los Angeles Car Show, or one of the hundreds of events happening near the Staples Center, then a good meal and a glass of Guinness is just a short walk away. Jeremy, the loud guy who won't shut up when we do our own podcast, he actually ate there during the last Anime Expo, and he said this. Forgive me if I don't sound like the guy. I went to Casey's Pub looking for a place to bring people for a good night of food and found it when I was driving people on my way back to the Los Angeles Convention Center. We went back and I had the best steak pot pie in my life down there. My wife had a good whiskey to sip, and 8 of us had fun talking and eating in a place that looked like it belonged in a movie. Casey's just a couple of blocks from the Westin Bonaventure. That means it's close to one of Anime Expo's own shuttle stops. We're even hosting a photo shoot there during the 2014 Anime Expo. If you want more details on that, email us at mspfreight@yahoo.com. Hey, so do yourself a favor. And don't stock up on bad beer and try to mix something sitting at the desk of your hotel room. Ride the elevator, get off at the Bonaventure, and walk to Casey's Irish Pub to get some drinks by their bartenders. Make some new memories and have some fun. We want to see you there.
Hello everybody, this is Anthony Bjorn from Mission Start Podcast. And actually, let me start the music, there we go. Hello everybody, it is a Sunday, it's not a Saturday morning, and there is a good reason for it. So here at MSP, oh wow, that's crazy, sorry, I'm reading the chat. So I was going to say, yeah, so here at MSP, we were covering E3 this past week. Thanks, Aria, by the way. Subscribe to us on our Twitch channel before you go. This past week, we were talking about E3. We're talking about everything in terms of the press conferences and what our thoughts were on each one. All with the exception of the PC press conference, and only because the PC press conference wasn't really wasn't much of a press conference. It was more sort of like a late night talk show, so it was more relaxed and not really professional, as it were. So today, we're going to talk about our final thoughts on all the press conferences, where we ranked them, alongside what our top 10 games out of E3 this year.
That we are.
Cool.
That we are.
Yes, so, oh yeah, before I start things off, joining us today is, and you see the logo right next to my head, is Greg Dietz.
Hi, everybody.
Actually, I'm going to move that over here. Sorry, there was 2 great.
I just ate a sandwich, and my throat is all like clogged up, so I might do a lot of.
Oh, fun! That's gonna be great for the. You know what? That's gonna be great for everybody at home who are listening to this audio podcast.
I know. That's what they came for.
So yeah, we're here to talk about everything E3 and our final thoughts and everything. So the thing I'm going to start off with is that we're going to begin with, and before we retweet that, which you just tweet out, Greg. Actually, did that again for the MSP. Boom, boom. Alright, there we go. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is our top 10 games out of this year's E3, and there's a lot of them. For me, it was a little bit difficult just to narrow down to 10 because there are some games that are returning that I'm already excited for, and there are some new games that were shown off this year that I'm really excited for as well. So it was kind of hard for me to put it down, but I managed to get something down. So, and Greg also as well got his top 10. So,
Yep.
So let's see.
It's also my idea to do it, yo.
That is true. That is very true. This is your idea. So then, the question then becomes, should I go first or you should go first?
Well, how are we gonna do this? Since we were supposed to have 3.
Yeah.
But Comcast is a piece of shit. Do you want to just do, like, we go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8?
Oh, that's actually a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I should definitely do that.
This camera is the absolute worst with, like, I'm gonna zoom in, I'm gonna zoom out, then I'm gonna zoom in, then I'm gonna zoom out again.
It's this dynamic, camera angles, man. It's trying to get that, the movie quality, But yeah, that's great. It's a great idea. We should definitely do that. So then as we get closer and closer to our number 1, we'll definitely do that. So the way this is going to work is we're going to go from our top 10 to our most hype game that we're looking forward to. We're going to go down the list, but we're not going to talk about 10 through 2. We could talk about 2 and 1 since we have more time now.
We're not going to discuss. We're just going to kind of like this game because of this, blah, 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 blah. Moving on. Like, that's how we're going to do it. And then when we get to our top 2 and 1, we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorta, kinda. Maybe a little bit, maybe. Kinda, sorta.
Right. So definitely. Alright then. Let's do this. So, I'm going to start off. My number 10 for E3, I put down is the game Unravel. It was shown off during the E3 press conference at EA. The game pretty much is like side scroller, and the main character is a kitty yarn character.
Yarny is his name.
Yes, and I fell in love with this game. It's like I must play this. So what was your number 10, Greg?
My number 10 is Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. I am a big fan of both the Paper Mario franchise and the Mario and Luigi RPG series. Having recently, like, not too long ago, beat Luigi's Dream World. The hell was it called? Dream something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
So the fact that they've somehow combined the 2 worlds into one RPG that plays identical to one another, I'm very excited for.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited for, so.
Agreed. It was on my list, but I had to cut it for multiple reasons.
Yeah, Yarny was in definitely my, Unravel was definitely in my honorable mentions, but not my top 10, so. It's interesting. We're already off to a good start.
Oh, yeah, definitely. My number 9 is a game that I did not know exists, and apparently, like, Platinum is making every other game at E3 this year, is Transformers Devastation. And that game looks freaking sick. It's going for the Gen 1 look, and the combat is ridiculously awesome at the same time. And I'm not surprised because Platinum games are usually pretty good with their combat system anyways. So I'm just going for that. That's my number 9.
Yeah, that was in my lower end of honorable mentions. I'm excited for it, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not in my top 10.
So what is your number 9?
My number 9 is Rock Band 4.
Oh, okay.
They hadn't shown any gameplay of it leading up to E3, or very, very little of it. And during Rooster Teeth's coverage of E3, you actually got to see some gameplay of it. And it plays very, very similarly to Rock Band 1 through 3. Except they've designed a controller that kind of works better with the system than just than like hearing the like clack 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 or in the drums where it's every like boom 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 every time. So
Definitely.
I'm very excited for it. Plus, like, the ability to get every single song you've ever downloaded prior.
Oh yeah, it's a big plus for sure. Awesome. So for my number 8 is the game that showed up at the Ubisoft press conference, and that is For Honor. The first time I saw this game, like, from the looks of it, it looked like a kind of third-person MOBA. How, like, you know, you have a bunch of the troops coming in, and then you can control your character and fight against other characters. But as soon as they showed off the combat and how exactly that works, it's like a very intricate fighting game style where, like, you have to kind of not judge, but you have to make predictions, like what the other guy is gonna do, and if it's, you know, gonna be high, low, or off to the side. And I like the idea, the look of it. So that was one of the more games that I'm pretty excited for sure.
It definitely looks interesting. I think it looks very similar to that game that came out not too long ago that was in first person.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of the name of it, but the PC game.
Right. I want to say Smite, but that's not it.
No, it's definitely not Smite. I'll think of it later and then, like, call you after the podcast is over and be like, this game! I thought of it!
Right. So what's your number 8 on your list?
My number 8, my phone shut off there for a second, is Rise of the Tomb Raider. I know this has been talked about a lot before E3, and you know, it's been announced long before this E3, but the fact that they actually showed some gameplay of it, talked about how it's going to have a different dynamic system in which you kind of have to craft your own weapons, and like it's still going to have the Metroid-esque feel where you find new stuff and then you're basically upgraded right away. However, like, you'll have to somewhat scavenge the battlefield or the area to get different things. Plus, your play style will have a lot of bearing on how the game plays out. So if you're the type of person to rush into action, the rewards that you get from that will differ than if you go in stealthy. You won't be punished for either play style, but the rewards will be different. So that gives it a large range of replayability, which is really cool for me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. When I first saw, but when I saw it during the Microsoft press conference, like, because I was on the, I wasn't sure if I wanted to jump on board with the Tomb Raider game that's coming out for Xbox One and PC, but the more I watched the trailer and the gameplay footage, the more it finally at the very end, like, convinced me, like, okay, I'm in. You got me. Did you ever play the other one, the remake one? I still need to go back and play it. I have it. It's on my list. It's on my to-do list.
It's very, very well done. It plays very similarly to a Metroid type of game. I wouldn't say Metroidvania, because it doesn't play like a Castlevania. It plays like a Metroid game. In that every single time a new piece of story happens, you get a new thing. A better bow, a better climbing utensil, and then what's really rad about that idea is that you are able to go to past points on the island. Like, you don't have to just stick around in one area, and then, like, you'll come past a thing that clearly is a tomb that you can go in and figure out the puzzle to and get whatever prizes in there, but you don't have the thing yet to open it. So then you have to go back later and when you have the new item and get it. It's kind of very similar to Metroid, you know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I'm definitely on board for this game for sure when it comes out. So my number 7 game of top 10 of E3 is going to be Doom. Now, Doom was shown during the Bethesda press conference on last Sunday, and I am happy with this game. It's basically classic Doom with modern graphics and it's ultraviolet. I'm liking everything of what they've shown. So, yeah.
Yeah, Doom was very, like, it was very pretty. It was very very violent, like it should be. The one thing I liked about it the most, even though it's not on my list at all, like, not even an honorable mention. I think it was, like, I put it on my list, but I had to knock it down, and then it didn't even get... Anyway, it's not a horror game. I don't know if you remember playing 3 at all, but 3 was fucking garbage because they had jump scares everywhere in that game.
Yeah.
They're like, that's what Doom is, right? Jump scares? No, it's not what Doom is.
No, it never was.
Like, it never was, so...
Yeah.
Well, I hated Doom 3, but this Doom definitely looks like it's hearkening back to a simpler time.
Oh yes, yes. For all you guys who are not old enough or young enough, so yeah, I played Doom back in '95 when it first came out on PC.
How old were you then?
Not old enough to play that type of game.
Well, clearly. Shit, I wasn't old enough to play it when it came out.
Yeah, so I think I must have been at least maybe, I don't know, 10. Yeah.
Math.
Yeah, I'm not good at it. I'm an art major, so yeah. Math is hard. So what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Kingdom Hearts 3. I've been stoked about this game for a long time, and the fact that we actually got a legit trailer this time was amazing to me. I am very excited for the third one. I know that a lot of people out there, primarily my brother, who are like, I don't care about it because it's been too long. But it's I don't know, I'm still really excited for it. I'm still really like jazzed that it's finally happening, and I love the series. I've always loved it. You know, it's got its flaws, it's got its, you know, its rough edges, but it's a fun series, and it's not meant to be taken seriously either. Like,
well, it kind of is turning that way, the way the story is developing with the whole key.
Well, I mean, yes, it is a serious story, quote unquote, but so is Jurassic World.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, it's not to be meant to be taken seriously to the extent that, like, if something happens in it that you don't like, that you need to go and be angry about. I mean, realistically, even if that was the other way around, you shouldn't be angry. But point is that it's fucking Disney and Square Final Fantasy characters. I don't know why I'm stuttering. Mixed up in the same world. Like, I never took it seriously to begin with. I just was in love with how fun it was to be in that world. So,
right.
Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm excited for it.
That's cool. That's cool. I never play particular Kingdom Hearts games. I've seen it being played. I've seen a friend of mine's one time at a LAN party play through, was it 2 hours into the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2 to finally get to the main game, or to the actual intro to the game. So like,
well, that's actually funny you mention that, because a lot of people had that, like, who the fuck is this Raiden character type of feel.
Yeah. For
the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. But apparently, that is explained. Not right away. Mm-hmm. But it was also their way of, like, that was their training level. Like,
that's one hell of a training level.
Yeah. I think it would have been nicer to have a little bit of buffer into who the character is and what Traverse Town is, but they just wanted to throw you right in, and you were like, oh god. But once you get past that dude, like, the game opens up, and it's amazing, and I don't know, I just love it.
For sure. So, alright. Okay, so, this may surprise you. My number 6 top 10 of E3 games from this past E3 is actually Guitar Hero. And the reason why I say Guitar Hero in this list is because Guitar Hero, what I'm seeing, what they're doing to the game this time around is actually pretty impressive. I like the fact that, I mean, like, I think for me, the single player thing, like, if, you know, you're going out in, like, on stage with a you know, fake band, you're playing your game, and, you know, you get, you know, live reactions. That part, doesn't get me excited for. What I'm really excited for is more of the stuff outside of that. So quickly, like, in, like, you know, just kind of casual mode, you can play, you know, whatever song you want, and the music video will play in the background. And then you can instantaneously switch from genre and music choice while the music is still going in the background. It's kind of like an Xbox Live dashboard kind of thing. It's really cool. It's impressing me where the direction this is headed towards, and this is more focused on the guitar player and less about the group. Kind of the opposite of Rock Band 4.
Right. It's very single player based. But on that note, I mean, even if you played Rock Band 4, whatever instrument you play in the single player campaign, like, still has the same RPG element. So if you do buy, and I'm just throwing this out here, If you do end up purchasing Rock Band 4, and you get the drums, the guitar, the microphone, and a keyboard, you essentially have 5 campaigns right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because but with Guitar Hero, you only have 1. Because they're concentrating on simply the guitar, which is fine, because it is called Guitar Hero. You know, it should be distinctively different than Rock Band. But I don't know. I've talked to you about my history with Guitar Hero. I have a hard time going to it and playing it. So
yeah, definitely.
But I'll give it a shot when it comes out. I'm just not gonna buy it.
Okay. So what is your number 6 top 10 game of E3?
My number 6. I gotta pull it up on my phone here. The Last Guardian.
Ah.
I have been waiting a long time for this game. As somebody who's a big fan of Shadow of the Colossus, I was for sure thought that Last Guardian was dead. I thought it was completely dead. And during the press conference, Sony's press conference, they showed it. That was the first thing they showed. And watching that gameplay, whether it was pre-rendered gameplay or actual gameplay, I legitimately got teary-eyed. I was so happy to see it. The other day, Brian of Half Empty Energy Tank was playing Shadow of the Colossus because he had heard that it has a somewhat sad ending. Or sad elements. And he was having a lot of trouble with the final boss because of the way the control system is. And I got fucking mad at him. Like, legit fucking nerd rage at him because of him sitting there, like, not doing things that he's supposed to do, not remembering controls that he has, or items that he can use. He was just trying to do the base shit, and it was pissing me off that he was blaming the game for it. And I got so angry that I legitimately had to come back and apologize for how angry I got. I shouldn't have got that mad. It wasn't necessary. You know, everyone's going to have a different experience with each game, and apparently my experience with Shadow of the Colossus was so much stronger than his will ever be. So, you know, I have a lot of emotion towards this game simply because of my experience with Shadow of the Colossus and somewhat Eco.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. The other thing about this game is, like, this has been a game that's almost nearing Duke Nukem level of years of being in development, almost 10. And, like, we've heard nothing much of this game. There are rumors that the director was fired from the game, and there was all these things going out. And for Sony to come out and say, look, this game is still alive. Look at the footage we have right here, and it's not dead. Trust us. So yeah, it was cool to see that. It was a huge, probably the biggest, I think, bomb to drop during that entire press conference. We'll get into it later on, but yeah, one of the biggest ones. So for me, I have at number 5 is Horizon Zero Dawn. Speaking of Sony,
which was the second game shown at the conference.
So what really impressed me about this game, actually, hang on, bring it up. Do I have it in here? Oh, I must have forgot to put it in here. Oh, damn. Okay, I'm trying to look for it anyways. So what really impressed me about this game was that when they showed it at the press conference, I was really impressed with just kind of the different settings, the different story. Like, it was something that, because the Guerrilla Games have been known for majority for their Killzone series. And it's kind of been what they've been known for a long time. And they came out and admit, like, yeah, like, that's kind of been what you know, our shtick has been. But, like, it came out showing off this brand new game, like, different setting. Although the mechanical dinosaur thing kind of remind me of a bit of Killzone. But, like, just how everything is set up, how different the way that the game plays. And
What if it takes place in the same universe?
I had that thought too, but they came out and said, no, it's not.
No, okay. Well, way to shoot that down real quick.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting, but you see their art style kind of, like, carry over into this game for sure. So I have that as my number 5.
Okay. My number 5 if you're ready for it, is South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
That's still fun to say.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely. Apparently, people are just now understanding it. Like, there are people who didn't quite get it before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I absolutely adored Stick of Truth, and I was under the assumption that was the only South Park game that would have ever been good. But the fact that Matt and Trey, like even Aisha Tyler was like, I believe you guys said last year that this was going to be your only game you're ever going to make. And they were like, yeah, but then we learned how to make games, and that changed. So like I'm very excited for it. Plus, it has a costume in it that I already have.
Yeah, man.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
Yeah, that game looked pretty cool. I was pretty happy to see it back, and just kind of I just loved the honesty of those two guys just coming out and saying like, yeah. Things change. We're making another game, so yeah, we don't know what we're doing, but yeah, we're doing it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at number 4, I think this would be the highest ranked indie game I have on my list. But number 4 I have is Cuphead. And that game, actually, okay, so that game, like. I have to find out. Like one of these days, I need to tweet at him. So I just ask him, like, look, how did you make this game? Because it is virtually like an old 50s, 60s cartoon style. Animations
More
and all.
30s.
Oh, 30s.
You gotta go back further than that, yeah.
Okay. So like, yeah, definitely like an old 30s feel, 30s animation style, and just the way that it moves, it and everything animated. It's like how exactly? The game, it looks so good. I just want to play this game, but I want to know how they did it. Is my real question. So that's my 4th pick for hypest game for E3.
Okay. My number 4 is Battleborn. I know they've shown 2 full trailers prior to E3 and whatnot, but I got to see more of it at E3. I got to see more characters at E3. It's just very exciting. I definitely want to play it. You know, I big fan of Gearbox and what they've done with the Borderlands series, and I know that like this game is going to compete directly with Blizzard's similar game that I can't think of the title of suddenly. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, what the hell is the name of that game?
I'm kind of blanking at the moment too. But I know
it's very similar. It's like a third person / first person shooter type of game, but it's also a MOBA.
I mean, like, I know you're talking about. Was that shown during the Microsoft press conference?
It wasn't shown at any press conference, as far as I know. But it's definitely around. They have a trailer out for it. God damn it, I cannot think of it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I know that's going to compete directly with that game, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Well, it's just copying." Well, it kind of came out around the same time, so go fuck yourself. But
yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it.
For sure. So let's see. Okay, so this is where it got really tough for me, because like the top 3 for me was pretty tough, and I can easily maybe flip 1 and 3, but at number 3 I have Fallout 4. So
Fallout 4,
yes,
nice.
Fallout 4 is really cool. What they showed at the
Fryman's got it. Overwatch is the name of the Blizzard one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's cool. Almost the exact same idea of game, except one is Gearbox, one is Blizzard, and also Overwatch is only on PC. It's not going to be on console.
Yeah.
So,
shout
sorry.
No, that's cool. Shout outs to Fryman for that correction. So yeah, Fallout 4, like that game when they showed up at the Bethesda press conference was really, really, really cool. And do I have it in here? I do not actually. Okay, well, I fell on that end.
You are just all over the place today, aren't you?
I am. Usually I'm on top of these things. But anyways, yeah, I'm really excited for the game. I love the fact that they showed off a more in-depth gameplay footage of the game on Sunday, and they showed up, what customization you can do for your character, for your house, for pretty much just about anything in that game, and they showed off that kind of hint of the storyline that it takes 200 years after the events of what happened when the bomb dropped. And apparently it's happening at the same time as what happened in Fallout 3. So I was sold when I saw this press conference and they showed off Fallout 4. Like, I was virtually sold. Like, all right, you got me. So I'm really excited for that game.
Respectively, everyone is sold now on Fallout 4. That's kind of their presentation of that was just like, I mean, it was mind blowing. It was like, oh, there's a lot in this game. I'm going to be playing this game forever.
Right. So what is your number 4 pick of E3? I mean,
number 3, you mean?
Yeah, my number 3. My bad.
Star Wars Battlefront. Again, I know it was technically announced last E3, but this year we got some fucking gameplay footage.
Yes.
And, first off, if you didn't know this about me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Not only do I have a tattoo, but I also have shit all over my walls and shelves and whatnot about Star Wars. So when Star Wars Battlefront first came out, I played that shit all the time. And then that was one of the reasons that I bought an original Xbox, was so that way we could play Battlefield 2. And God, I clocked in so many hours in that game. I was unbelievably good at that game, and I longingly awaited the third, not knowing that it hadn't done very well.
Right.
So, like, the fact that this one is coming out, it looks absolutely gorgeous. There's so much stuff you can do. It plays differently than other shooters, which is how it should be. Like, they kept a lot of the charm of the original games in there. I'm just so excited for it. Like, I cannot wait to play it.
Agreed. I'm pretty excited for this game as well. I actually will talk about it in a minute. Not hinting out what my top 2 games are, but Star Wars Battlefront, it looks really good. I'm really excited for it. They just place Battlefield, but within the Star Wars universe. Is pretty much what it comes down to, and it looks freaking good. So my number 2 comes down to a game that I played way back then, and I cannot believe that there was a sequel announced for it, and that game is Mirror's Edge Catalyst. What really impressed me about this game is that when they showed it off at the EA press conference, was that you're able to run around the world and have no load times, and endlessly run from building to building, or endlessly run to point A to point B, determining what your mission is. And that, I felt like, really kind of, I guess, hindered the last game. But, to be fair,
the last game felt like it was level based, and that each level was a direct path.
Yeah.
Like each level was essentially an obstacle course.
Agreed. Which it was, and it did its job for that, for sure. This one feels more open world. This feels more loose with the rules, but at the same time, it still has the main core of what made Mirror's Edge. Having that first-person view of you running down the hallway, or kicking somebody out the window, like it still has that. And the great thing about it is, like, they learned from the last game is that they're not giving Faith a gun. She's gonna be doing all this without a gun and doing what she knows how to do, which is run up walls, kick some ass, and really just kind of have this really cool, like, experience that came out in 360 long ago, and I cannot wait for this one. So that's my number 2.
All right. My number 2 is Halo 5 Guardians. Again, I understand that this game, was announced a long time ago, and it's technically coming out, like, right around the fucking corner. But the reason it's my number 2 is because we finally got to see a lot of information this last couple weeks about the game. Not only did Game Informer come out with an article that was like, here's everything that's in the game, but we also got to see some actual gameplay footage, which looks goddamn gorgeous. We got to see, not only gameplay footage, But we got to see, what else did we get to see? I'm trying to complete fucking blank on what we got to see.
That multiplayer that was
Yeah. That was it. Jesus Christ. My brain just stopped working there for a second. Yeah, we got to see a new gameplay, or a new game type in the multiplayer called Warzone?
I think that's correct, yeah, Warzone.
But what Warzone is essentially Titanfall with Halo. One of the things I love about Titanfall is the fact that even if you suck at it, even if you're the worst, you can still get AI kills and end up earning your Titanfall, or your Titan. So you still get to have fun with the game. And with this, it seems very similar. Except that instead of getting Titans, you get to drop, or get to spawn with specific weapons, or get to spawn with a specific vehicle. So like I'm very, very excited about that game type. I'll probably put hours and hours into that because it's just going to be huge. Lots of chaos going on, lots of just nonsense. And as a big Halo fan, like, it's got this amazing campaign that you could technically play 4 different times and have 4 different experiences. I have a theory that there's going to be 2 different endings to the game. But, 343 will be like, this one's canon and this one's not.
Right.
Which is fine by me. Doesn't bother me. I know lots and lots of games have done that. So yeah, there's so much about it that I'm very excited for. Plus, 343 was very adamant about how the problems that the Master Chief Collection has when it comes to online play, that will not exist in Halo 5. Now, that's still, we'll still have to see.
Yeah.
It's always good to be cautious, but, give them the benefit of the doubt. They've only technically released 2 games. One was on servers that were steady, one was not, so if this one has shitty servers, then we'll know. We'll know how good they are doing their job. But it just looks fun, looks exciting, so I'm so down for it.
Agreed. Now comes down. Oh, well, actually, I'll say one thing about Halo 5 is like Halo 5 looks good. I'm pretty excited for it as well. I might have to go over to somebody's place and play it, or somehow borrow it in a console to play Halo 5 since I switched over to PS4. But Halo 5, I'm curious to see what the story is. I wasn't sure there was anything to tell after Halo 4, to be honest. But apparently there is, so definitely, and hopefully the servers will be fixed this time around, unlike the time when Master Chief Collection came out. So,
well, what's really cool is that before, when they announced that Halo 5 was going to happen, which was technically they were like, okay, Halo 4 is going to happen and it's going to be a new trilogy, so we know that there will be a Halo 6 for sure. They called it the Reclaimer series, or the Reclaimer trilogy. No one quite understood what the fuck that meant. But Halo 4 is the beginning of the Prometheans. It's bringing the Prometheans into the story and kind of showing why they are there. And then Halo 5 is going to be about how there's going to be something that has to do with Master Chief and the Reclaimers as a whole, or the quote unquote Guardians. What that is, I don't know. We know that that was confirmed that the voice actors for Cortana will be in the game. In what facility, we don't know. Or faculty, sorry. What faculty, we don't know. So there's just a lot of mystery behind it, and a lot of I'm stoked. I'm so ready to play it.
Agreed. Now comes down to me and Greg's number 1 picks of E3. My number 1 pick out of this year's E3 press conference is none other than Star Wars Battlefront.
Really?
Yes, that's my number 1 excited game because, like you, I felt very cynical too for saying this, but I wanted to see gameplay footage. They showed off in-game footage during the Star Wars Celebration weekend. Recently, they showed off the trailer for it, but it wasn't gameplay per se. This was something that I really needed to see. in a sense of validation to make sure that they're just BSing around, but like just to see how it plays, see how each particular class like looked like, at least in this pre-alpha build, and just kind of judge it on my own merits, and it looks good. I like the fact there's different races this time around that you can choose from. You're not just a grunt soldier that you're fighting for the rebels or for the Empire. You can be different races. Like, I like the cockpit view in some of these spaceships. You can have these cool spaceship battles.
I still won't fly anything in first person because that shit makes me sick real quick.
The detail is awesome in this game. Like, it is practically, in my opinion, probably the best Star Wars games I have seen in a very, very long time. So, I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Did you ever play the originals?
Yes, I did play Battlefront 1 and 2. Yes, I didn't play 3 much per se, but 1 and 2 I played the crap.
There is no 3.
3 never existed.
No, 3 never existed. It's 1 and 2, both came out around the Xbox era. I think the first one you could have played on the PlayStation 2. I think that's the case, but yeah, I know for a fact that like I bought an original Xbox because of like originally it was for Halo 2, and we knew that like my brother and I knew right around the corner Battlefront 2 was coming out. We were just like we have to get this thing.
Oh yeah.
And we even had a skin for it. Like we put a skin on top of the Xbox that was for Battlefront 2, and we got countless hours into it, dude.
Definitely. Also, Fryman just said, yep, they were both on PS2. So
I thought so.
Yeah, it's an EA game. They'll put up.
I think the big reason that we made sure that we got it on the Xbox was because at the time the Xbox was the premier place to play online games console-wise. It was really, really difficult to do it on the PlayStation 2, and so like that was a big thing for us at that time.
Agreed. But yeah, that is my number one excited game for E3. Greg, what is your number one excited game from E3?
My number one is like your number 5, I think, or number 6. I don't remember which one it was that you said, but my number one is Cuphead.
Oh, wow.
So last E3, when Microsoft was doing their like montage of all the indie games they have coming, I saw that one briefly, and I didn't catch the name of it. I was like, what the fuck was that? That looked amazing. Like this old 1930s style animation on top of like what looked like a Mega Man game, but I couldn't quite tell.
Right.
And so this E3, it was confirmed that it's more of a bullet hell type of shooter, similar to like Contra or goddamn that Sega game I can't think of suddenly.
Super.
No, it doesn't have Super in front of it. It was
here.
I had it on the Wii.
Was it Heroes? I think I need to.
It's something Heroes, Gunstar Heroes.
Yeah.
Fuck, I was just drawing a blank. Yeah, Gunstar Heroes was like it plays very similar to that in Contra, which has me very excited. Plus, I was listening to a developer interview talking about the game, and they came up with this art style on accident.
Really?
Yeah, he was basically like they wanted to create a game that was unique to anything else, and so they started dicking around with like animation styles and like the way that characters can move in a given space. And somebody was like, oh, I really love this rubbery animation. And the guy who was doing the big art side of it was immediately like, well, like I'm really into like these old 30s cartoons where everything's made of rubber bands, so why don't we go forth there and just make something like that? So he started designing all these characters based off of 1930s cartoons. I mean, you name it, if it was a cartoon in the 30s, that's what it was based off of. And it just kind of spun from there. So I'm looking forward to it. He said that the game is very hard, very difficult, but due to the fact that you have infinite lives, because it's a modern game, there's no point in going, well, we got to drop down the difficulty because it's too hard. Like, no, you literally, if you're at a boss and you die over and over and over and over, you just get less points. That's your punishment. Mm-hmm. So essentially, like, you will eventually beat the boss.
Right, definitely.
So there's a lot of elements. I've watched a lot of gameplay of it. And I'm so excited for it that like a week or a couple weeks before it comes out, I'm gonna fucking make sure that I get it day one. When
is it coming out? Because they were kind of like vague in that trailer.
It's next year.
Next year?
It's next year, yeah.
Sweet. Awesome.
It's like early next year.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Like, that is a game that I saw last year at E3, and I caught the name, but we didn't see anything about it for a while. And to see it again this year, a much more expanded trailer and gameplay footage of it, I'm very, very excited to see and play this game. So
I had a few moments. Where like a lot of people were sitting there tweeting about it and talking about it. Like, Cuphead is like game of the show or game of the show. Yeah, game of the show, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Game of the event, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, I've known about it for over a year now, and I've been wanting to play it for over a year. Where the fuck were all you people when they announced it last year?
It went by so fast that people must have missed it. Because I kind of felt like that was the case this year.
It absolutely caught my eye. I immediately was like, I need to find out what that game is. Like, find out when it's coming out. I was hoping that it had come out way before that, but alas, that is not the case.
Agreed. There were some games that were obvious I'm really excited for that I did not put in my list, in my top 10, only because I felt like this year's E3 that I wanted to really focus on the new games that really stood out to me and that surprised me. Either be
I have my 11 through 15 in case we needed it.
Right.
I can run that down real quick if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Number 11 was Super Mario Maker, which looks awesome. Number 12 is No Man's Sky, which, I mean, I talked to my brother about this, and he's just like, I don't know. It doesn't really look that great, because all it is that it, in between the worlds that you go to, it's just loading the next world. It's not really like loading the next space. Like, you can't just slowly travel between planets, and I'm like, why would you? Like, why would you want to do that? Right. I know how the game is procedurally made. I'm not stupid, but
right.
Like, it's, it looks fun. And then number 13 is your, like, number 10, I think, Unravel. Number 14 is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. I liked the first one, so, the second one excites me. And then number 15 is Star Fox Zero.
Okay. That was on my list initially, but out of the top 10 games, I had to take it off, only because I feel like the top 10 games I had in my list are just a bit better than Star Fox Zero. But I'm liking where Star Fox Zero is going towards. I think that it's harkening back to the original Star Fox 64 game. The only thing that caused me for concern, and Nintendo actually came out and said this, just to clarify, is that they show you the controls for the game, and the first controls they showed is like you have to use the, actually, no, hang on a minute, I got it right here. Hang on. I'm putting this. So what they want you to do is they want you to have the Wii U controller, where on the screen is going to be where you're aiming the reticle. And you're using that to move this around to aim and shoot at things, but at the same time, it's not controlling the ship. What's controlling the ship is the thumbsticks. So people, when I've heard, do not like that control scheme, but they went out and said, like, you can change it to default, which is just using the sticks to control your ship and to fire.
Well, I imagine if they're going to do that with Splatoon, they can do that with fucking Star Fox.
Right. The only problem with it is that with Splatoon, like, you don't have to, like, you are aiming, but like you don't have to look down on your Wii U controller to do so. You can just do it on screen. For Star Fox Zero, if you choose to go that route, you have to look at your Wii U screen, your mini one, and at the same time look up at the ship.
I think that might not be a bad thing in certain scenarios. So in the trailer for it, it shows, or the gameplay footage, whatever you want to call it, it shows these scenes where like it's the arena situation.
Right. Yeah.
And the ship that you see is sideways. Like you're not looking straight down a path. So if on the screen it shows the ship sideways, but on the gamepad it shows it like it shows the cockpit essentially, and you're just kind of flying around while on the screen it's sideways, and you're shooting things, and then like if you want to go onto the ship in the chicken R-wing, whatever the fuck that's gonna be called, then like you just kind of steer towards the ship, and then it goes back into first person on the TV, or not first person, but third person on the TV, and then you go into chicken mode, and then you're playing on the TV again. Like, I think stuff like that, like dynamic play and how you choose to play the game is going to be a huge factor into whether this game is good or not.
Agreed. I'm excited for it, but I'm just kind of worried about it. I'm cautiously optimistic about the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to be cautiously optimistic about everything.
So yeah, that's our top 10 games, guys. So I'm not sure if you want to take a break real quick or go straight into the press conferences. Because that's the next thing we're going to talk about in this podcast.
We can take a break. We can take a quick break.
Cool.
Stretch and stand up and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. All right. We'll be right back, guys. Let's make a couple minute break. So,
yeah, enjoy the jams while we take a minute break.
Yeah. So we'll be right back, guys. Mm. All right. Can you? All right. Cool. Awesome.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, guys, we're back. We had a little short break. Gotta get our waters and whatnot. But
Hello,
yes,
folks.
we're back. We're gonna talk about the press conferences and kind of how we rank them at this year's E3. Again, I would say like out of the press conferences, there's only 6. I mean, there was the PC press conference, but that was more of a late night talk show, and it wasn't serious like the other press conferences. There were a few big announcements, but nothing too big.
Yeah, it was dull.
It was. I get what they're trying to go for, but and I like the fact that PC platform has a quote unquote press conference, but it wasn't particularly as huge or as big as other ones. So yeah, we're gonna talk about our top 6. So again, we'll go the same style. Me and Greg are gonna talk about ours are 6, or 5, or 4, 4 down the list. So at number 6. What I have as down is the worst press conference this year was EA. I felt.
I'll just say right now that's my number 6 too.
Yeah. So yeah, like EA's press conference was bad. It was horribly. The rhythm wasn't right. The spacing of like each each thing they were showing was just off. So they started off well. They showed off Mass Effect. That was, a great thing to start off with. But then afterwards, it was Mass Effect. Then it was, what was it? Was it Star Wars? The MMO? Did they show that off? Was it the second game?
Hold on one second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are we doing? I thought we were doing 7.
No, the PC press conference doesn't count. Because it wasn't.
Well, there's Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix, Bethesda, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo.
Oh, oops. I forgot Bethesda. Let me make it alter swing. But my number 7 or 6 pick is still EA. Like not that.
My number 7. My number 7 is EA. I kind of didn't quite. I was like, he said 6. I think he might have meant 7. Fuck it. I'm just gonna go with it. Yeah. The one on the bottom of my list is EA as well.
Right. Definitely. So. But yeah, like Greg, you and I agree definitely that EA's press conference was the worst.
It was by far the worst.
Yeah, especially when they. Like, I understand what they're going for, but like, man, I think what really what really, I guess, agonized everybody, and I respect the man, but then, having Pele come out there and talk about a cool story that otherwise, if it was outside of E3, it would have been great, but at a given time and place where they did that, it was a little weird. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was out of place. It didn't feel right. Like, I have a lot of respect for Pele. I really do. But, man. Just, like, nobody... Like, ask anybody who watched that press conference what they were talking about. And I guarantee you, unless they're from the UK, they're going to be like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I don't remember.
So I was going to say, number 6, or actually, yeah, number 6 for me in the press conferences, Square Enix. Square Enix,
wow.
For me, and I think it's best put it where their heart was in the right place, and I felt like they were showing some great games, but their presenters were just talking about the game more so than the actual gameplay footage you actually saw.
I agree. It's not my number 6, it's my number 5.
I see.
My number 6 is Ubisoft.
Okay. I can see that being there.
Their conference was, like, don't get me wrong, Square Enix's was, like, cool. How long you talk about the fucking game instead of showing it. But Ubisoft's was, like, uncomfortable. Like, I would rather hear developers talk about the game than hear fucking Aisha Tyler make one of her really bad jokes on stage with people who don't get the jokes.
I get it. There were some awkward moments in that press conference. I feel like she did save it at times, but like,
oh, barely.
But there was some stuff I felt like that came out of that press conference. I felt was good. I mean, coming off of EA, but afterwards, like, it was 10 times better. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
What's your number 5?
My number 5. Oh, excuse me. My number 5 is Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a
wow.
Reason, and the reason why I have it at number 5 is that Nintendo played it safe this year. They didn't show anything particularly new outside of the titles we already kind of knew that was coming, like Star Fox Zero, like Super Mario Maker. There were a few of the games that were announced that were new, like the new Animal Crossing party game, which I'll admit, I want to get that. I want that Tom Nook amiibo, no, hands down. But like, they played it safe. They played it to the crowd, and I felt like they didn't particularly wow me like they would every other year. Some of their games that they were holding back or had said prior, like, we're not gonna show Zelda Wii U because we have nothing to show, or that's what I heard. But that's, for me, they played it safe, and they played a game where, you know, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. So that's my number 5.
Okay. My number, well, I already told you my number 5 was Square Enix.
And why?
So far it's, what's that?
No, so why Square Enix at number 5?
It's just boring. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, if you watch the conference, it lasted an hour and a half, and over half of it was talking. Now, I'm not against developers talking about their game, but as my dad told me a long time ago when I was a kid, actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And Square Enix was very much words instead of actions. We got a lot of gameplay. We got a lot of trailers, no gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing during the Square Enix conference that really like rustled my jimmies was the Kingdom Hearts 3 thing. Like, everyone's super fucking stoked about the remake to Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Let's be honest here. That game's not even fucking coming out for a while. They didn't announce a release date. They just said we're making it. That's an announcement of an idea. That's not telling us that it didn't wow me. I've played the game. I played the shit out of the game when it first came out. I'm not super excited about it coming out again. So like I'm not excited. I think it's cool that it's coming out, and I'll definitely play it when it comes out, but it's not, like, it's definitely not the best Final Fantasy to me. There are other ones that are deserving of remakes over 7. So, I don't know. It just wasn't, like, like I said, there was a lot of talking, a lot of him and Han around the whatever, and it just wasn't a fun to watch conference, so.
Agreed.
And really, realistically, as I pointed out during our discussions on them, that's how I'm ranking my conferences, is how entertained I was during them. Not how much information they showed, not if I knew the game was coming out, how entertained I was or not.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So.
Definitely indeed. So where I have we're on 4, right?
Yeah, we're on 4.
Okay. My number 4 is Ubisoft. So for me, they showed off enough games that got me excited. And I can deal with Aisha Taylor. Like, I think her comedy's fine. Like, there are times where it was awkward and it was it just wasn't as funny as it should have been. But she was working with it, and the crowd is a bunch of gamers, cynical gamers and critics. So I think she did fine. I think that the games that they showed off during the Ubisoft press conference, I'm really excited for. I'm really excited for The Division, for Honor. I'm excited for what else did they show? I'm totally blanking on. Like I'm curious about the new Rainbow Six game Siege. So there's a lot of games that for me they showed up that got me interested, and I think also because of the comparison of how Ubisoft and EA streamed back to back and how EA was the worst. Like it just made Ubisoft so much better in Everblade, and they were more lively than EA was. So for me, Ubisoft showed me a lot more to get excited for, and that's why I have my number 4.
My number 4 was a toss-up between Nintendo and Bethesda, but I think Nintendo is my definitely number 4. They showed off quite a few games during their conference that made me very excited. Like, I want to play Super Mario Maker, primarily because when they first showed off Mario Maker, it was just Mario 1 and New Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
And I was kind of like I was very skeptical on it. Then, during the Nintendo World Championships, they showed Mario 3 levels and Super Mario World levels. The fact that there's 4 different types of Mario games in it, on top of the fact that you can create whatever the hell you want, like, had me super excited. And then you got Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. We have a new Legend of Zelda coming out. Yes, it's a handheld one, but it's Zelda. Like, it's going to be fun. And then Star Fox Zero. Plus, again, like I said, it was the entertainment level. The fact that they had the puppet thing going on was so much fun.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is definitely one of the things that I was pretty entertained by the Nintendo press conference. Was that the puppets that we're using for the skits in between were great. They were awesome.
Yeah, I would like highly, highly entertained during those like with those sketches. Like it was just a big ear-to-ear grin. I couldn't wait for the next segment so that way I could see the puppets again. Like, I had a lot of fun watching that conference.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So for my number 3, and I had to make a quick change because I forgot to put Bethesda in this list. But my number 3 is actually Microsoft. Microsoft, to me, they showed off a lot of good things in that press conference. When they showed off their press conference on Monday, as the first one, it was good. It was solid. The games they showed were balanced. They showed enough games for me to be very, very excited for. The announcement of backward compatibility with the 360 games was a huge announcement, and a direct shot at Sony. The HoloLens is ridiculous. Like, I was on the bandwagon a bit longer than some of these other people who were just realizing the HoloLens technology, and just having it showcased during the press conference and see how it works. It's like, wow. The other big announcement that they're teaming up with Oculus to support the Oculus with the controller, alongside with Valve's VR thing too as well. So there was a lot of things for me that the Microsoft show that was good. Compared to the other two, I felt they were strong in other areas that they outweighed Microsoft. But Microsoft's press conference was just ridiculously good, in my opinion. And so I have them at number 3.
My number 3 is Bethesda.
Okay.
They showed off a lot of Doom, which was cool. Like, I was very excited about that. And then a lot of Fallout 4. Now, granted, it's only 2 games. And they did talk a little bit about Dishonored 2, which I don't care about. They talked about Battlecry, which I definitely don't care about. And they talked a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online. But most of their conference, which was just an hour long, was mostly Doom and mostly Fallout 4. And the fact that, the Fallout 4 thing really killed it. Like, it was, they could have just called it the Fallout 4 conference, and that would have been fine. But there was just so much about that was so rad, and it was my eyes never left the screen. I never looked down at my phone unless, it had to do something with what we were watching. As I was chatting with a bunch of friends while it was happening, and we're just discussing how amazing the game looked. And so other than that, my eyes never left the screen. And as somebody who doesn't play a lot of open world games, the promise of what you can do in Fallout was just amazing to me. So it definitely gets number 3 up for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Definitely. So my number 2 And this is again, and I forgot to put in Bethesda in this, but like as soon as I remembered, number 2 for me is actually Bethesda. Bethesda for me showed off a lot of great games. Doom coming out of the gate. I've heard about it. Like I know that they showed a teaser clip before E3. They showed it up during QuakeCon. But like finally to see that E3, like I'm all on board. It's classic Doom with a great modern graphics that is today. So I'm really excited. Dishonored 2 was another game that I was really excited for that they showed up as well. Fallout 4 had me by the nuts. Like when they showed everything about that game, as I've said prior in this podcast, like the customization you can do in that game is ridiculous on a just awesome level. And having the Fallout Shelter iPhone game or mobile app game announced that same night as they were showing it off, I was literally the only person in my house just going and yelling like, yes, oh, awesome, and I just got really excited. Like the only games I wasn't really interested in this entire press conference was the Elder Scrolls Online MMO and their Elder Scrolls card-based game, which in my opinion right now Hearthstone's a better card-based game if it comes down to it. But wait and see how that goes. But for me, Bethesda is number 2 for me in this list. So
okay. Do I go with my number 1 now, or?
Yes, let's switch it up.
No, I haven't even done number 2. I haven't even done my number 2. Jesus Christ, I'm brain dead here. I'm looking at the 2 things that I haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
So this was really difficult for me to pick my 1 and 2, and simply because there were things in both conferences that I was just unbelievably excited about. But I might get a little flack for this, but my number 2 is actually Sony.
Huh.
Yeah. So they had an amazing press conference. They showed off games that we didn't even know were going to be there. Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn. They announced Shenmue 3, the Kickstarter for that. Final Fantasy VII Remake. But here's the problem that I have. They showed off gameplay for Star Wars Battlefront, which is not exclusive to their console. They showed off Disney Infinity stuff, which is not exclusive to their console. They showed off Hitman stuff, which is not exclusive to their console. They showed off Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is not exclusive to their console. They really wanted to showcase some of those games, which, don't get me wrong, seeing Star Wars Battlefront for the first time was amazing, and I was super excited to see it, which we didn't get to see at the Microsoft press conference. But having just 2 games out of the whole bunch that I'm super excited for just didn't really, it wasn't enough to really kind of, make it number 1. But on that same note, it was a very, very, very entertaining conference to watch. And it being technically on the next day, or no, it was later the same day as Microsoft's. Microsoft was the first conference of the day and Sony was the last. So Sony kind of got, that whole, the second billing sort of thing. You come to see Sony, but you get to see Microsoft first sort of thing. That's how it felt. So I think Sony got to do their, their big thing. And, but again, like I said, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's also not exclusive. People think it's exclusive. It's not.
Yeah.
Sony just got to announce it.
Mm-hmm.
Shenmue 3 is a Kickstarter game. That's not coming out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of stuff you have to put into context when you're grading these conferences. I mean, sure, we had a lot of surprises, but surprises are not as much fun as gameplay. Not as much fun as being entertained.
Right, definitely.
And I felt that Microsoft definitely took that top spot for me, which I'll get to after you say your number 2. But yeah, so Sony hits my number 2.
All right, so my number 1 pick for best press conference of E3, and this is something that we're going to be completely opposites on anyways, but my number 1 pick actually is going to be Sony. Sony, I felt, had the best press conference out of everybody that was shown. I felt like if you were to compare the exclusives back to back between Microsoft and Sony, I felt like Sony had the better lineup of games that are exclusives to that system than Microsoft does. I think that announcing the bombshells of having FF7 remake of Shenmue 3 and Last Guardian there was a huge plus, even though FF7 and Shenmue are going to be multi-platform, 360 or
Right.
Xbox One. Or
Right.
I still feel like having that announcement at that press conference helped get the attention of Sony of what they're backing, what Sony is saying. Like, this is the games that we're announcing, this is the games we're supporting, and we're going to be the first ones to do so. I felt like some of the other games that showed up was cool. I felt like some of their indie stuff was not as great as Microsoft's. I think Microsoft has an edge because of Cuphead. I felt like Microsoft did a better job at showing off their VR stuff than Sony, and Sony only gave about 2 minutes worth of VR with their Morpheus, and after that was nothing but games. I feel like there were things in that press conference that Sony could have fixed that would have been better, but to me, overall, I felt like it was a better press conference, regardless of what the holes that they have. The comparison, I could easily swap out 3 and 1, to be honest, between Microsoft and Sony, but both of them kind of countered each other in certain areas that they could have done better. So, in my opinion, Sony is my number 1 spot.
Okay. You kind of hit a lot of points that I wanted to make about Microsoft's.
Oh.
So, no, it's fine. I mean, the point I wanted to make was that you had said that Microsoft had a better indie lineup. First off, Microsoft didn't spend a shit ton of time on a lot of the games. They announced the Gears 4, which is great. They announced Sea of Thieves, which looks fun, but it's an MMO, just a pirate MMO. They got to actually show the first Rise of the Tomb Raider gameplay, which was very exciting.
Yes.
Because Microsoft owns Rare now, we're going to get this collection of 50 games or 30 games, something like that, of Rare games. Not Rare as in the value of it, but Rare as in the company Rare. Rare's been making games for years now. Fucking years. And the fact that we're getting a disc with a ton of their classic games is very exciting. And that's exclusive to the Xbox One. Nothing else is getting that but Xbox One.
Yeah.
So there's that. We have, we did see a little bit of Division in Rainbow Six Siege, which is multi-platform, whatever. Dark Souls 3, which I think is a multi-platform.
I believe it is.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
They got to announce Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, which I'm excited about. Got to see a lot of Halo 5 gameplay. Got to see a cool trailer for a game called Recore, even though there's no gameplay for it. And then, like you said, we got to see a lot of the VR stuff. I've been very skeptical on VR stuff just because, I haven't really seen anything that made me want it. But the potential for the VR, the system that they have, which I can't remember the name of it.
HoloLens.
HoloLens, thank you. The potential. Oh my God.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, and it's not it's not only just for games. I'm more excited about the HoloLens is the fact that what it could also be used for other things as well. Like, for me, I would love to have that thing while I'm working on costumes, and just easily just bring out my reference picture next to me, without having to go into my computer or look on my phone. The reference picture every time.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I'm loving the idea.
Wouldn't it be rad if you were playing a game, right? You're playing some shooter, right? Mm-hmm. And on the table in front of you is a top-down of the map and where your location is and where the position of all the enemies are if you have that open. Like, let's say you get that ability real quick or what the fuck ever. Mm-hmm. But it's it's a 3D representation of the map on the table while you're looking at your TV playing the game, or you're looking at your wall. He technically wasn't even playing on a TV on Minecraft. He was looking at the wall playing Minecraft for a hot minute.
Yes.
The association with it is so much better than other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a blast to see, and on an entertainment level, I was very entertained with Microsoft's entire conference from beginning to end. I mean, this literally has nothing to do with the fact that I have an Xbox One, and that's all I have. It has everything to do with the fact that, like, everything they showed, I want to... Well, not everything. A lot of what they showed, I want to play with. So, like... I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of down. I'd say the down stuff is like, re-showing Fallout 4 stuff. Like, that wasn't necessary considering Bethesda just did theirs.
Yeah.
I understand why they did it though, because there are some people that don't watch the single publisher conferences. They would just watch the console conferences.
Mm-hmm.
But it was I'm so excited for like a lot of stuff that they showed. They had I don't know. They showed that the trailer for Recore like has me very excited. Keiji Inafune and the creators of Metroid Prime. Are you kidding me?
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, that was one of the games I was like really surprised by. Like I was watching the Giant Bomb stream, and when I'm watching like okay, like they roll the trailer, and it was like Keiji Inafune with the Metroid Prime Hunter guys. Like, whoa, what? I'm like, my ears perked up. It's like, okay, all right.
Another thing that Microsoft announced that I think flew over people's heads that has me very excited is that one of the big partnerships with the VR system is Valve.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is, like, I feel like because the majority, the PC based people who play on PC is Windows users for the most part. And the funny thing is, like, Gabe always hated Microsoft. He doesn't really like them at all. But it's funny how like this kind of collaboration is happening right now. But yeah, Microsoft I feel like had some really really strong announcements that they showed at that press conference. This one being one of them, and I think that it's definitely gonna be interesting how it's gonna be in the long game. But as of right now, at least this E3 press conference, they were one of the best press conferences I saw.
Yeah. By the way, the games listed in the Rare Replay are, and I quote, there are a few games that are not in it because of licensing issues, obviously, like Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye. But
yeah.
We have Jetpack 1983, Attic Attack. I don't know what that is, 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Lunar Jetman 83, Cyberwolf 84, Underworld, not spelt the same, 84, Night Lore 84, Gunfight 85, Slalom 86, RC Pro Am 87, Cobra Triangle 89, Snake Rattle and Roll 90, which is an awesome game.
Mm-hmm.
Digger and T-Rock, The Legend of the Lost City 90, Solar Jetman, which I imagine is a sequel to Lunar Jetman. Hunt for the Golden Warship, 1990. Battletoads, 91. RC Pro Am 2, 92. Battletoads Arcade, 94. Killer Instinct Gold, 96. Blast Corps, 97. Banjo-Kazooie, 98. Jet Force Gemini, 99. Banjo-Tooie, 2000. Conker's Bad Fur Day, 2001. Grabbed by the Ghoulies, 2003. Perfect Dark Zero, 2005. Cameo, Elements of Power, 2005, Vita Pinata, 2006, Jetpack Refuel, 2007, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, 2008, Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise, 2008, and Perfect Dark, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's It says a compilation also includes bonus features. A documentary feature, Rare Revealed, has over 1 hour of footage describing the history of the studio and the development of several major games. It includes concept art and information about unreleased Rare games as well. Another feature, Snapshots, presents small segments of the games as challenges for the player, such as collecting a set amount of points in a set amount of time in a set scenario. It is similar to the NES Remix series.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does it have all 30 games, but it also has essentially the NES Remix game in it.
Yeah.
That's what NES Remix was missing, was just the games as in their entirety.
Mm-hmm. On top of which, they also added, like, hey, you can get 10,000 achievement points if you're still an achievement whore.
Yeah, well, I know there are a few people I know that are, and they're very excited about it, but I'm not one of those people. More power to you, but not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, there was just a lot more that was shown during the Microsoft press conference that had me excited, that had me entertained, and I cannot wait to get my hands on most of the games they showed.
Agreed. Well, that's going to do it for us. We've talked about everything E3. We talked about our top 10. We talked about our top press conferences for this year's E3. And overall, this was a pretty good E3. I'm pretty happy with what they showed off. It kind of reminded everybody of, hey, this is kind of what it feels like to be a gamer again. If there was any doubts or any cynical people out there, that people were, convinced this year alongside me, like there was a lot of cool stuff that was announced this year. So I was pretty excited. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. So before we go, Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, I almost said Tumblr. Literally, I'm not joking when I say this. If you go to Google, type in Chub Rock Geek, it'll bring up all of my social medias. I am not kidding. It brings up everything. So search there. Other than that, I write reviews for Mission Start Podcast, and I stream every Wednesday on Half Empty Energy Tank from Pacific Standard Time, 7 to 10. So tune in for that.
Awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter, as you can see below, at DefectiveNaruto. You can follow the work that me and Greg do on our website at MissionStartPodcast.com. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, or if you enjoyed this show, please subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher for the proper MP3 version of Mission Start Podcast, as well as on our internet, on our website, at missionstartpodcast.com. We own the internet
You're
now.
going to log on to AOL.com, and then you're going to...
Yes, exactly. If you enjoy convention talk, if you enjoy us talking about our experiences at prior conventions we've been to, either be anime, comic books, or whatever convention, please subscribe to our podcast, Deconover, which also can be found on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. And if you enjoy comic books, entertainment, movies, HBO news, please subscribe to our Please subscribe to our podcast, At the Rolling 20s, which is hosted by Jeremy. And is a podcast that he hosts on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. And one last thing before we go, actually. If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoy what you see, be sure to subscribe to us on this Twitch channel. Click on the heart button, tell people about this channel. And this show is normally on every Saturday at 10 a.m. Only the difference because this was on Sunday is because, this is the big podcast and there was E3 talk. And there's a lot to talk about. But every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we have our podcast live here on this Twitch channel where we talk about your weekly news of the video game industry and what is happening around the video game industry as well. Think of it like Mike and Mike in the morning, but just for video games. So, yeah.
Well said.
Exactly. So with that, we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully this Saturday, but we'll see. Laters.